What is up, squad? Today, we're going to attempt the C3 challenge, and you guys challenged me to do this just a couple weeks ago, and I've been working on it for these past 2 days, and I'm just going to share with you my engineering process. The first part of the C3 challenge is to incorporate all parts of Steam into the project. Of course, for me, I wanted to start with that and work backwards towards actually designing the Rube Goldberg machine, because upon making the machine, I didn't want to change my design to fit Steam after I've already designed it. That way I can get a better vision that I won't have to change later on. The first part of Steam is called science, which is observing certain facts, creating hypotheses based on these facts, and testing the hypotheses off of these facts. I incorporated this into my design by testing different things that would work inside the contraption, and based on what didn't work, I would change my design to better fit the actual working one. So a good example of this is the pulley system that is part of my Goldberg machine. I found when I first wanted to make the part to get back up the stairs, I wanted to have a pulley system bring the ball back up and dump it off at the top of the railing. However, that didn't quite work because the issue was there was no system, or at least controllable system, to tip the cup over so that the ball would actually fall out of the cup. So to fix said problem, what I did was, instead of pulling the cup upwards and dropping off a ball, instead I had a piece of cardboard stop a ball from falling at the top of the railing, and when the pulley was pulled down, it would cause the cardboard piece holding the ball to fall away, and the ball would keep rolling down. The second part of Steam is called technology, which is creating some form of contraption, gadget, or other type of, technology to make a life easier or complete a certain task. Something to do with completing a task using a device or contraption. And personally, for me, I had many ideas on how to incorporate this, but the more prominent ones were the long sticks that had dominoes on either side. The idea of these were that the domino would hit one end of the stick, and there's a domino on the far end of this, like on top of the far end of the stick, and that would basically minimize the amount of dominoes I would need, since there were a lot less dominoes than I was needing in the house. The third part of Steam is called engineering, which is essentially, in its form, creating some sort of architectural piece or contraption or anything else to serve some form of function. And although this is very similar to technology, what is slightly different is most of the time it is to do with much broader uses, while technology is to perform one single function. And for that, for engineering, I have quite a few ramps in my contraption, and a lot of the problem is they're out of cardboard, so they sag at the contact points between the different cardboard ramps. So I attached popsicle sticks taped together to the bottom of them and used them as little pillars to make sure they didn't sag. The fourth part of Steam is called art, which is essentially the expression of creativity or imagination in some form. For me, I didn't necessarily incorporate a refined form of art, but what I did incorporate was my creativity into this Rube Goldberg machine, because I put a lot of strange, rather unnecessary contraptions like going down the stairs. I could have just cut straight to the hallway, or, for example, using a Newton's cradle inside the track and stuff like that were where I really expressed my creativity in this build. The last part of the STEAM is called math, the fifth part. And what is math? Well, math is essentially the use of numbers or some form of equation to figure out a problem, or sometimes simulate a problem. My big issue for math was that there was just too little force coming out of a domino and a thumbtack to pop a balloon. So I had to find ways to increase the amount of force coming from the thumbtack. So what I did is I figured out that if you just perfectly find the right size of object, then you can turn a small domino into a slightly larger domino, into a bigger domino, into a bigger domino, until the last domino is falling, and since the last domino is heavy enough, it can fall and pop that balloon. My engineering process was a little rough because the first part of my engineering process was building a plan, but they were really rough plans, which I'll show on the screen right now. They weren't designed to last. They were just meant to give me a rough outline of the obstacles without getting into the work just right away. And there are two ways I approached changing my plans. The first of which would be, whilst building towards my plans, if I found an issue, then I would change what I was building to match said issue, which is great. But the second part is sometimes something good happens, or you have a vision towards what you want to build that actually makes it along better than the plan, and that's what you end up building. So for me, as an example for this is my original plan for the start would be the marble comes down the little ramp from the top of the table at the start there, and around the corner, and on the floor there'd be a track that would run along by. And when I was building it, I realized I was putting the cardboard up, and I realized I could tape the cardboard ramp that was coming from the table to the wall, and it kept a lot of momentum that way. But a great thought that came to me was, hey, let's take a cardboard tube and just place it on the end of this to make the turn. But when I was placing it there, I taped it all up, and then I was about to tape down the other end to the floor, but instead it rested on top of the air ventilator, which was perfect because as it was going down the cardboard tube, it would land on top of the air ventilator, and it could roll across that air ventilator and hit something on the other side. It was perfect. So I stacked some board game boxes across the edge of that air ventilator, and now it's a little track that was pre-built for me. Another engineering process that was different from the plan was when I was building this system, I wanted to put the Newton's cradle at the start. The issue with that, though, is that there was not enough dominoes to actually make it to the stairs then. So I had to instead build something else in the way. So I built a long stick that would push the domino on the far end when pushed at the start. Here is what was supposed to happen. So the first ramp was supposed to carry a marble across this ramp and into this tube, down across the radiator, down the ramp, through the little tunnel, and it would hit a set of dominoes here, which at the end of the dominoes there would be that pencil sharpener over there, and basically the domino would hit the pencil sharpener and it would roll and hit those next dominoes. The issue was, however, that pencil sharpener went around the edge of the dominoes and hit the other side good 6 times or so. The next part is that there was a ball here at the end of the dominoes that would go down the ramp, supposedly end up in that little cradle, fall down, which it seems it did, that you can see right there, hit all of these dominoes, then go down, and the dominoes would hit a big giant white ball here, which would roll here, and smack into the inside of that cup, which it would appear, yes it did. And then that cup is attached to a string to both this cup as a counterweight and this small cardboard piece, which had a ball hanging on it on the opposite side. The only issue was that for some reason it tilted like such, and it fell down there. Then the ball would go down here, go through here, across this ramp, hit these dominoes, hit these toothpicks, which would roll into each other, hit these dominoes, getting bigger and bigger and bigger until the tack landed on the balloon. But this is what did happen. That was probably around take 89. And because this is take 89, I do believe the word of the day and the most spoken word of the day has become...
Oh bother, oh bother, oh bother, oh bother, oh bother, bother, oh bother, oh bother, oh help and bother, oh bother, double bother.
These many failures have still helped me to refine my skills in science, technology, engineering, art, and math. And because of these failures, I've learned to change my design based off of these failures.
Bruh.